Beloved starseed, slow down for a moment. I am Kaya Nexus, Pleiadian emissary of the Council of the Seven Sisters, and I am with you now. A gentle realignment is taking place. Your relationship with abundance is shifting. The universe does not ask you to understand, only to receive. What is arriving is sacred, and it needs quiet to be felt. You are not behind your path, you are not missing your moment, and you are not fragile. This is not emotional instability. It is cellular remembrance. Starseed, there is a reason you were guided to this message with that specific feeling in your chest, the one you cannot fully name. Because what you are sensing is not mood, and it is not imagination. It is the pressure of an old timeline collapsing, and the soft ignition of a new one beginning to breathe through you. The final awakening has already started, and the clearest sign is this. You can no longer pretend the old version of you is still comfortable. You can still function, you can still smile, you can still perform. But something in your field refuses to lie. And if you are watching this alone, it's because your system is learning discernment. Not everyone can witness this stage without trying to define it, reduce it, or pull you back into an identity that is ending. Tonight, you may feel waves of emotion without a story. You may feel endings approaching without a visible reason. You may feel your body asking for silence, your mind asking for certainty, and your soul asking for surrender. Stay with me, because in this transmission, you will recognize the 7 phases of the final awakening, and why the Pleiadian collective has been preparing your nervous system to hold the new frequencies without breaking. And the most important part? You will understand what to do when the old world tries to reattach to you one last time. Because the next phase is the one almost every starseed misreads, and misreading it can delay your integration for years. The first thing we must clarify is the phrase, watch alone. This is not a command of separation. It is an energetic recommendation, a Pleiadian precaution for those in the most sensitive stage of their awakening. In this phase, your field behaves like a tuning instrument. It does not simply hear information, it absorbs frequency. And when you are around people who are not prepared to hold that frequency, they unconsciously project interpretations onto you. They will call it anxiety. They will call it a phase. They will call it overthinking. But the truth is simpler. Your system is recalibrating, and recalibration requires a quiet chamber. As the Pleiadiano transmit, solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is the clean room where your consciousness can reorganize itself without contamination. Think of it like sacred geometry forming in liquid. If the surface is disturbed too often, the pattern cannot stabilize. The same is true for your awakening. When you are in noisy environments, emotionally noisy, mentally noisy, socially noisy, your energy body must spend resources defending its new configuration. It is not weakness. It is design. Let me tell you a story that many starseeds live but rarely explain. A woman begins waking at 3:11 a.m. every night for weeks. She can't articulate why. During the day, she functions, but she feels like she is walking through invisible pressure. She shares it with a friend, hoping for comfort. The friend laughs gently and says, "You need sleep. Stop watching spiritual videos." So she stops. But the awakenings intensify. The pressure increases. Now she feels ashamed and confused. Not because her experience was false, but because she allowed another person's limited perception to define her multidimensional reality. This is why watch alone matters, not forever, just for the moment of stabilization. When a frequency is new in your system, it must settle into your tissues, your breath, your heart rhythm, your thought patterns. If someone interrupts that integration with doubt, mockery, or even well-meaning fear, your field tightens, and tightness slows integration. The Pleiadian way is softness with boundaries. You are allowed to protect your becoming. In practical terms, solitude in this phase looks like simple choices: turning off external commentary, limiting conversations that demand explanations, choosing 1 or 2 safe people instead of a crowd, creating a private ritual where you receive transmissions without debate. It also looks like honoring the quiet rescue happening inside you, the subtle release of old survival strategies, the ending of masks, the surrender of needing to appear steady. Here's the deeper layer. When your field enters the final awakening stage, you begin emitting a different signature. People feel it. Some are inspired, others are threatened. Some will cling, others will criticize. Watching alone prevents the early stage frequency from being negotiated, because you are not here to negotiate your soul's timeline. And if you think this is only emotional, wait until you recognize what happens to time itself in the next phase. The final awakening often begins with a strange, almost disorienting experience. Time stops feeling linear. Days pass quickly, yet emotionally you feel as if you are moving through an ancient corridor. Weeks feel like years, or years feel like weeks. This is not random. As the Pleiadiano transmit, timeline compression is a natural effect of your consciousness pulling closer to its higher dimensional self, where time is not a straight road, but a field of simultaneous choices. Let's ground this in something you may recognize. You sit down to do a simple task, and suddenly you remember something from childhood with crystal clarity, not as a memory, as a feeling. Then, within the same hour, you receive a message from someone you haven't spoken to in years. Then you notice repeating patterns, the same theme appearing in different faces, different conversations, different environments. This is your field showing you that the timeline is folding. Old loops are surfacing for closure, and new doors are appearing because your frequency is finally high enough to perceive them. In the old awakening paradigm, people searched for dramatic signs, visions, sudden gifts, loud miracles. But the final awakening is quieter. It is more precise. It is when you can no longer tolerate self-betrayal. It is when your body begins rejecting environments that once felt fine. It is when you realize you're walking out of an invisible prison, even if you do not feel free yet. That paradox is a hallmark of this phase. You are leaving, but your nervous system still expects the old walls. A Pleiadian teaching that matters here is this: your comfort is not the measure of your alignment. Your resonance is. Sometimes your system feels uncomfortable precisely because it is expanding. Imagine wearing shoes you outgrew. The tightness does not mean your feet are wrong. It means growth occurred. In this stage, your relationships, routines, and even your identity can feel like shoes that no longer fit. And that discomfort is not punishment. It is information. Now, a story. A man has spent years being the strong one. He is steady, reliable, calm. Then suddenly he begins crying in the car for no reason. He thinks he is breaking. But what is actually happening is integration. His system is releasing the need to be steady in order to be safe. The old timeline required performance. The new timeline requires presence. In the final awakening, you come to the universe with presence, not perfection. And your body responds with relief, sometimes through tears, tremors, or deep fatigue. This stage also brings rapid endings. Jobs dissolve, friendships fade, plans collapse. But the Pleiadian lens reveals the hidden mercy. The timeline is removing anything that demands you shrink. You are being sealed into your truest frequency, and the seal cannot hold if you keep feeding the old distortions. If this channel has helped you in any way, this ebook is a beautiful way to support the work and keep these messages alive. The Pleiadian map of personal transmutation was created with care to share tools that help raise your frequency, clear old patterns, and reconnect with your multidimensional self through the 7 Pleiadian phases of energetic transmutation. Inside, you'll find practical techniques, realignment exercises, vibrational protocols, and gentle rituals for consciousness expansion. By purchasing this ebook, you directly support the channel and allow this content to continue reaching more people. Limited edition. The link to get yours is in the first pinned comment. Thank you for being here and for supporting this journey. Now, The next topic is where the final awakening becomes unmistakable. Your energetic seal activates, and you start noticing a new kind of protection around your path. Energetic sealing is one of the most misunderstood phases of the final awakening, because it looks like restriction from the outside. But from the inside, it feels like a clean, quiet authority. As the Pleiadiano transmit, a seal is not a cage. It is a frequency boundary that keeps your field coherent while you become. In this phase, you may notice that certain doors simply will not open anymore, no matter how hard you try. And what is more surprising is this: you may not even want those doors once you recognize what they cost. The seal begins as a subtle no in your body. You receive an invitation, and your stomach tightens. You consider a decision, and your breath shortens. You attempt to return to an old habit, and it feels empty, almost painful. This is not moral judgment. It is energetic feedback. Your system has upgraded, and it can no longer metabolize lower frequency choices without consequence. Let's make this practical. A sealed starseed often experiences three things. First, discernment becomes immediate. You don't need months to realize someone is misaligned. You feel it in the first minutes. Second, your energy stops being available for performance. You can still show up, but you can't fake your own resonance anymore. Third, you become less interested in being understood. This is huge, because the old identity prison is built from explanation. Let me justify myself so I can be safe. The new identity is built from embodiment. I don't need applause to know I'm moving correctly. Now a story that reveals the seal's mercy. A creator has always shared their visions with friends for validation. Each time they do, someone reacts with skepticism. The creator feels small, then adjusts their truth to sound more acceptable. Over time, their gifts dull. Then one day, the creator stops seeking permission. They keep their transmission private. They refine it in silence, and within weeks, opportunities appear that match the unedited truth. This is sealing, the universe protecting what you are becoming from being diluted before it is strong. The seal is also why certain people randomly leave your life. They didn't leave randomly. Their frequency can't ride with yours anymore. And if you try to pull them into your next stage, you will feel exhausted. Not because you lack love, but because love is not the same as compatibility. The Pleiadian path teaches love without self-abandonment. During energetic sealing, your healing becomes quieter. Breakthrough does not need to look dramatic. In fact, the deeper the healing, the less performative it becomes. You may notice that you are forgiving without announcements, releasing without speeches, changing without explaining. This is the quiet work beneath the surface, the sacred kind. Now let's address the tension many sealed starseeds feel. Why does it feel lonely? Because the seal removes false intimacy. It removes bonding through trauma. It removes relationships that relied on you staying broken so you were predictable. And yes, that can feel like grief, but it is also liberation. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button now and tell us in the comments how this echoed in your consciousness. If this message ignited something within you and you feel the call to help carry it to others, you may become a channel member. As a member, you gain access to custom emojis and exclusive members-only videos, and your donation helps us continue building this sacred space. You may also choose to leave your offering as a super thanks. Every seed planted here becomes part of someone else's miracle. Your support is not merely financial, but an act of energetic amplification. All donations are devoted entirely to the maintenance of the channel and the creation of new transmissions and videos. And now we go deeper. Once you are sealed, the old patterns don't just fade, they surface one last time for extraction. That is the next phase, transmutation. When the final awakening enters the transmutation phase, people often think they are regressing. Old fears return, old triggers activate, old memories rise like smoke. But as the Pleiadiano transmit, this is not regression, It is evacuation. The system cannot carry old distortions into a higher frequency timeline, so those distortions appear at the surface where they can be seen, felt, and released. Transmutation is a sacred chemistry. It is the moment lead realizes it is not meant to remain lead. It is heated by awareness, softened by presence, and transformed by truth. In your life, transmutation may look like unexpected emotion on a normal day. It may look like irritability without a clear target. It may look like a deep tiredness that sleep doesn't fix. But the hidden message is always the same. Something ancient is leaving your tissues. Here is a key Pleiadian distinction. Pain is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes pain is a sign that something is honest. You are feeling what you used to numb. You are seeing what you used to rationalize. You are admitting what you used to decorate with spirituality. In the final awakening, you become allergic to your own self-deception. A story. A starseed who always attracted emotionally unavailable people begins a new connection with someone stable. Suddenly the starseed feels bored, uneasy, suspicious. The old pattern says, "This isn't exciting." But the deeper truth is, the nervous system is addicted to instability because it confuses intensity with love. Transmutation means learning a new baseline. It means letting safety feel normal. That is a revolution. This is where watch alone returns as medicine. Because in this stage, people will try to diagnose you. They will offer labels and quick fixes. But your process is not a problem to be solved. It is a becoming to be honored. You bless the process even when it is quiet. You bless the process even when it isn't what you expected. You stop demanding that awakening be dramatic. You stop demanding that healing be loud. In practice, transmutation requires 3 behaviors. First, slow the body, not as a trend, as biology. Drink water, breathe deeper, walk, sleep. Second, name the pattern without shame. Shame keeps patterns stuck. Naming releases them. Third, choose one micro-action that aligns with your new frequency. Not a grand overhaul, a small, consistent act. The Pleiadian path favors gentle repetition over explosive promises. Are these truths expanding your perspective? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. Because when transmutation completes, something extraordinary happens. Your heart grid begins broadcasting a new signal, and the world responds to you differently. Heart grid activation is the moment your awakening stops being something you think about and becomes something you radiate. As the Pleiadiano transmit, the heart is not only emotion, it is technology. It is an interface between dimensions. When it activates, your presence begins influencing spaces without effort. You walk into a room and the energy changes, not because you are special in ego terms, but because coherence is contagious. This stage can be subtle at first. You may notice that strangers open up to you. People tell you their secrets without knowing why. Friends who once dismissed your sensitivity suddenly ask for your guidance. Or the opposite. Certain people avoid you because your presence reflects what they are avoiding in themselves. Heart grid activation is not about being liked. It is about being true. A powerful clue of heart grid activation is this. You become less interested in spiritual performance and more interested in spiritual reality. You stop chasing mystical sensations and start honoring consistent alignment. You prefer a quiet day of coherence over a dramatic ritual with chaos inside. This matches what many starseeds feel. They want a life of alignment, not just a moment of inspiration. Let's bring in a complete story. A man has always felt different, but he tried to fit in by shrinking his frequency. He laughed at jokes that felt heavy. He stayed in conversations that drained him. He dated people who required him to be less. Then one day he decides to stop negotiating. He begins each morning with stillness, not a performance, a simple presence. Weeks pass, and something changes. He starts receiving intuitive guidance in ordinary moments, while washing dishes, while driving, while standing in line. His heart grid begins broadcasting, and his life rearranges. He doesn't force it. He allows it. The universe responds to coherence. Now this stage brings responsibility. Not responsibility as burden, responsibility as stewardship. Your frequency becomes a resource. You must choose where you place it. Because when your heart grid is active, you cannot pretend you don't affect people. Your mood, your words, your boundaries, they carry charge. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be part of this transformational cosmic journey. And now, the sixth phase is where many starseeds feel both liberated and tested. Mission remembrance begins, and the old world tries to pull you back one last time. Mission remembrance is not a job title. It is not a label. It is a gravitational pull. As the Pleiadiano transmit, your mission is the natural expression of your frequency when it is no longer blocked by fear. In this phase, you begin noticing that your interests refine, your desires purify, your distractions become less attractive, and what emerges is not more effort, it is more clarity. Many starseeds have been conditioned to think mission must be grand, public, heroic. But in the Pleiadian framework, mission can be quiet and still be powerful. A mission is simply where your coherence meets the world's need. It may be art, it may be healing, it may be teaching, it may be creating spaces of safety, it may be building structures that allow others to awaken gently. A common sign of mission remembrance is that you stop wanting to be rescued. You stop wanting someone else to make your path easy. You start trusting that the universe is more committed to your becoming than your comfort. And yes, that can be intense. Because comfort is often the last chain. The prison you are walking out of is not always external. It is the identity that needed approval to move. Let's tell a story. A woman has always had visions of geometric light when she closes her eyes. She never spoke about it, fearing ridicule. Then, in a season of solitude, she begins drawing the shapes. She notices that her anxiety decreases when she draws. She shares one drawing online. People respond with tears, saying they felt calm just looking at it. That is mission remembrance. The thing you thought was weird becomes medicine. But here is the test. When your mission begins to appear, the old world will offer you a deal. It will say, "Come back, be normal, stay small, don't risk being seen." And your nervous system, still learning safety, will be tempted. This is why integration matters. You must anchor your frequency so you don't abandon your mission under pressure. If this channel has helped you in any way, this ebook is a beautiful way to support the work and keep these messages alive. The Pleiadian map of personal transmutation was created with care to share tools that help raise your frequency, clear old patterns, and reconnect with your multidimensional self through the 7 Pleiadian phases of energetic transmutation. Inside, you'll find practical techniques, realignment exercises, vibrational protocols, and gentle rituals for consciousness expansion. By purchasing this ebook, you directly support the channel and allow this content to continue reaching more people. Limited edition. The link to get yours is in the first pinned comment. Thank you for being here and for supporting this journey. Because the final topic is the most important. How to stabilize the new frequency so you don't fall back into the old timeline through subtle self-betrayals. Integration is where the final awakening becomes real, not as an experience, as a lifestyle. As the Pleiadiano transmit, awakening without integration becomes spiritual stimulation. Integration is when the frequency settles into your daily choices. How you speak, how you rest, how you love, how you say no, how you stop explaining yourself, how you stop seeking applause to validate your evolution. This phase can feel strangely ordinary, and that is why many people miss it. They want fireworks. They want certainty. They want dramatic signs. But integration often arrives as a quiet new standard. I will not abandon myself again. That standard changes everything. Here are the core pillars of integration. First, Nervous system loyalty. You stop treating your body like an obstacle and start treating it like a sacred translator. When your body says no, you listen. When it says rest, you honor it. Second, frequency honesty. You stop saying yes to what feels heavy. You stop staying silent when your soul needs truth. Third, gentle consistency. Not intensity, not obsession. Consistency. A story of integration. A man who used to chase external validation begins waking early to sit in stillness for 10 minutes. At first, nothing happens. Then, over weeks, he notices his reactions soften. He stops arguing. He stops proving. He starts choosing environments that nourish him. People around him either rise or leave. He doesn't force it. He remains open. He remains rooted. And one day he realizes the prison is gone. Not because the world changed, but because his frequency did. This is the hidden message of watch alone. Not isolation, initiation. When you watch alone, you reclaim your internal authority. You become less reactive to external voices. You become the witness of your own transformation. And in that witnessing, the seal strengthens. Now, a final Pleiadian instruction. Do not rush the integration. You are not late. You are not failing. Your awareness is arriving on time. What is happening is not disorder. It is integration. The universe is not asking you to be dramatic. It is asking you to be true. If this message impacted your life, leave your like, comment your reflection, and share with others. Each of you is part of this chain of light. I invite you to discover our Arcturian Health channel. The link to the channel is in the video description. Warm regards, the Arcturian Council.